my name's Amy Apgar, and this is my Module 2 on the water filtration project. First, I started with our supply list. I didn't use all the things that were recommended, so I used the gravel and the sand to filter. The coal I used for to make the water dirty. The cheesecloth and filters and rubber bands and push pins were all to help with the cups. And the question I posed to myself was, what's the best way to filter dirty water into clean water? So I started with the alm, thinking that when the water was dirty I could use the alm to clear it out, clean it up. And so the first one I used 8 ounces of tap water. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit here. 8 ounces of tap water, the charcoal, and a cup. And then I added a spoonful of the charcoal into the tap water in the cup. I added another spoonful of the alm. Like the video showed, I was hoping that it would separate into chunks. I waited about 20 minutes, and unfortunately mine did not separate like I would have hoped. But it did when I stirred it. You could see it separating slightly, so maybe if I would have used more alm, less charcoal. I'm not really sure what I did wrong, but I did use the alm, but I didn't see the results like I did in the YouTube video that was posted. Here is, whoa, sorry about that. Here is the experiment. I poked holes into the bottom of the plastic cups and I stacked them. It's kind of hard to tell in these pictures. This one you can kind of tell. I used push pins to keep them separated so I could see what was going through them. So in the bottom here I had the stones and a coffee filter. In case I needed to reuse the material, I put them on coffee filters to pull them out of the cup easier. In the second cup I filled it with a coffee filter and then with the sand. And then on top of the cup you can see it's covered with a cheesecloth and a rubber band. I poured the dirty water over the cheesecloth. At the top is the filter like grass would be, to get out the bigger chunks, I was hoping. And then I let it filter through. I noticed the sand turned black instantly as soon as the charcoal touched it. So I figured the smaller grains caught the smaller particles, and then anything that made it through the stones would catch. And then afterwards it's really hard to tell because I used a gray dish towel, which was bad on my part, but the water is clean in the bottom here and it is clear. So sorry about the lack of planning there with the dark hand towel. I then tried a second experiment because I wanted to see if using only the things that came in the white envelope in the mail had anything to do with it. So here are the cups with just the materials. So this cup has the stones, this cup had the clear sand, white sand, and then I put the cheesecloth again on top to catch any of the particles. When I used the rest of the charcoal glass with the alm, I did notice some chunks were in the bottom, which is what they had said in the YouTube video. I'm not sure if that was the alm that had settled or if it was particles of the charcoal. So I'm unsure of what the chunks were. I'm hoping that the alm worked, and we'll say it was the separating of the dirt and the clean. So that's why that's super black right there. But you can see here the water from this second experiment with no coffee filters and no other kind of filter in there still made it very like murky and dirty looking. And it's hard to tell in this picture, but there's actually particles of something, charcoal or something, in the bottom of the cup. So here's the experiment 1, and here's experiment 2. And you can kind of tell here it's clear and murky. In the first experiment, the water moved very slowly. I actually walked away from it, made lunch, and came back, and only that much water had filled into the bottom of the cup. And I'm not sure if it's just because it filtered through much, much more. And I'm thinking in earth, everything would be very compact. So the coffee filter actually helped make it more compact like the earth would, so that we would get the cleaner water. And then the second trial, again, I only used what was sent to see how it would affect if I didn't add anything else to it. The water did move very quickly, and I did not leave enough room for it to continue. So there's still some water on the rocks. Each material had its own cup, so it wasn't as compact using the coffee filters. And there's murky, and there's definitely some unknown substances at the bottom. Here's the continuum. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. And I used stars well, that was a bad idea. I used stars to try to help us see it a little better. For number 1, I said that the learner sharpened, I think it says, and clarifies the questions provided. So the question was provided, how do we get cleaner water? So I picked the second one for that one. The next one is the learners were directed to learners directly collected data from a certain area, which we did. We did a hands-on activity. The next two, I was in between for these two, only because we kind of summarized it here at the end, but then we've also kind of used the evidence to kind of formulate our own. So I think with the screencast, we kind of do both of those. The next one down is learners independently examine their resources. So again, I could use more that I bought, but I chose to only use what was given. And we communicated to justify our answers. Again, that's kind of what the screencast is doing, where we kind of talk about why and how we found what we did. Last slide here is just my wrap-up. And again, there's my 2, and I kind of went along with the whole how the earth works is how I kind of justified my experiment. Thanks for watching.